do 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 bunny do 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 bunny do 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 bunny do 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 bunny bunny do 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 bunny do 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 bunny do 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 bunny. Let's get to the review. Bunny. I'm John Renton with my review. New Japan Pro Wrestling's Resurgence in Long Beach, California at the Walter Pyramid, and goodness goddamn me, this crowd was just a tiny bit absolutely ready to cheer their hearts out during most of this show. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. First things first, I'm sorry I have not reviewed the Best of Super Juniors tournament. I will explain why. I don't really have a lot of time. I mean, I'm kind of just burning the candle at both ends as far as work and as far as other content I'm posting. And while I've watched some of the matches, I just haven't had the time to review the tournament. Some of it's been okay, some of it's been eh. And as for this show, okay, there were moments that I didn't care for, but for the most part, when this show was good, oh, it was really good. And that main event, that crowd was molten hot. I really hope that Mercedes Moné is okay. I really hope she's okay. Because that was a bit of a downer. But man, that crowd, God, when they were into it, they were fucking great. It wasn't a sold-out venue, but the people that were there, they were ready. So, yeah, around 4K capacity, I think they had maybe 3,000 people there. I mean, there were some noticeable gaps. But again, the crowd was into it. Late arriving crowd because the doors opened and then they started the pre-show matches while people were still filing in. I mean, the two pre-show matches, boy, I mean, they were wrestling in front of no people. You had Veda Scott, Ian Riccaboni, and Alex Kozlov on commentary. Bateman, who I think has a good look, against DKC. And I gotta say, I keep up enough on the New Japan Strong brand, but since they stopped the weekly programming, I watch the packages when I can. I try to catch the match clips, but again, only so many hours in the week, in the month, in the year. Bateman has a unique look. DKC, with a nice knee bar. This is a decent match for what it is. And eventually a crucifix trap, and then the most devastating maneuver in all of professional wrestling, the surprise roll-up, 1, 2, 3, and the DKC wins. Not bad. And then we get Alex Coughlin, the android. Skynet has become self-aware. Oh no, against Christopher Daniels, and I love Christopher Daniels. Got to meet him at a couple indie shows in 2019. Super nice guy, super talented, has done so much for the Defied Northwest Wrestling promotion. And I think this is his last year. I mean, he can keep going if he wants. But he's in his 30th year in wrestling, and he can still move well, but Father Time is undefeated. Maybe he feels this is going to be his last hurrah. That being said, he put over Alex Strong here. Did some good veteran heel tactics. Angel's Wings, a 1 count, and a big old jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Not bad. Not bad for a pre-show match. Here's Fred Rosser. Talk about the New Japan Academy. Classes open up on July 24th, by the way, for anybody interested. And then the voiceover. And we get a bit of a video package hyping up the card. And then we get Barbaro Cavernaro. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that. And Virus, not Virus, but spelled Virus, against ESJ and Bad Dude Tito. I know nothing about the two guys from, I believe, CMLL. I know nothing about them. Nothing. ZSJ is a treasure to watch. This was good. This is good for what it is. I don't know what Barbaro was doing at one point. He was firing up and acting weird. I guess that's his gimmick. Again, I don't really know. Some good counters. The crowd got into it. It felt like maybe they got lost a little bit because of the clash of styles. And then a stretch, and Bad Dude Tito tapped out. Like, he got stretched and just pulled, and that was kind of a brutal finish right there. It was very sudden, and there you go. And then a women's tourney package, and then we get a big pop for Mercedes Bunny. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. Mercedes Moné, big pop for her. And a good reaction for Stephanie Valcour. My God, she is beautiful. My God, she's beautiful. I know nothing about her, but good God, she is really beautiful. And she can work. She has a good heel persona, a good face, as far as, like, just, getting that, like, mean-spirited look on her face, like, oh, I can beat anybody at any time. This is where the crowd picked up. The crowd was very much into this, and Obviously, Mercedes is going to win here, but they gave Stephanie enough where those that don't know her, like me, were like, okay, maybe they might pull off a shocking win here. I mean, there's no doubt that Stephanie was going to lose. The Meteor to the outside, I have no idea how Mercedes does not destroy her knees. Mercedes may be top 10 like this year. She's over-delivered in any match she's been involved in, at least the ones I've seen. The Meteor for 2. And Stephanie kept coming back, got a nice crossface, got trapped in the crossface by Mercedes. Stephanie got to the ropes. Good close near falls. She kept countering the Moneymaker, but eventually got hit with the Moneymaker variation. 1, 2, 3. Crowd pops. And there we go. So Mercedes advances, and then Willow Nightingale gained a pop. I wish I had a quarter of the energy that Willow Nightingale has during her entrance. Willow Nightingale against Momo Kogo, who I'm not familiar with. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I can only pay attention to so much wrestling. But Momo had a good showing here. Willow, no doubt, was going to have the power edge, and she did. I did like how Momo had to basically chop her down. The big old got hit the 619, hit a nice drop kick. Fisher Woman Buster, very nicely done, showing off the power that Momo had. And then a big old slam, a couple lariats and a cannonball by Willow. And then she did get hit with the Tornado DDT, and then a crucifix, a rope break, and then eventually the Dr. Bomb or Bomb variation 1, 2, 3. Willow advances. That was good. That was good stuff. And then Fred Rosser versus Juice Robinson. I had seen enough video packages and I know the story, and I like Fred Rosser. Fred Rosser has worked really hard, especially since WWE basically shafted him with the whole "we're going to make Darren Young great again" thing. Him and Bob Backlund, even if it didn't have the obvious connotations there, him with Bob Backlund was weird. And Juice Robinson, now they've been going back and forth. Fred really was upset that Juice had cost him a chance to win, go on into the IWGP US Championship, running. And Juice was upset that Fred kept picking on his wife, insinuating that, maybe your wife turned me no, I'm not going to say that there. I mean, it's the implication. I mean, whatever. Some of that's kind of old school wrestling, but here's what wasn't old school wrestling. A kendo stick, okay, whatever. But a couple chairs. Yeah, chairs could be under the ring. Why were there 2 doors already in the ring? Why? Why were there 2 doors? Why do you ever need a door in a goddamn wrestling ring? I hated seeing it when I saw some clips of a match at a local promotion recently, which I wasn't at, by the way. I haven't been to an indie show in about 6 months. And why were there doors in the ring? Why? Why? To what end? Students of the Academy came out and showed their support for Fred Rosser. Fred Rosser had a giant chain. Juice had the kendo stick. I'm just going to say right now that had this match been half the time that it was, I probably wouldn't have hated it like I did. I hated this. Any of the good stuff that they did was after so many bullshit weapon spots that got to the point I just stopped caring. I just stopped goddamn caring. We got belt choking. We went into the crowd. We got the door breaking because we need a door breaking in a street fight. No, you don't. The kendo stick using a couple chairs and using weapons and telling the story through impact is fine, but there have been so many matches with the overuse of weaponry in New Japan, in WWE and AEW, and over so many years that now when I see this stuff, I just groan. And I don't care how personal the feud is. I tune out. And, Juice gets hit in the head with a trash can. And then actually has the trash thrown on him. Has the trash thrown on him, gets hit in the head with the trash can, starts bleeding. And I hate this, is what I wrote down. All these guys taking these bumps in a match that is just going to be forgotten about by the vast majority of people in about a week. Because another company is just going to do stuff where it's going to be more wild and crazy. And again, they're taking some hard bumps and they're clearly laying this shit in. But at the same time, you see so many of these weapon spots, you don't know what's real, what they're protecting, and what's actually hurting. And then we get a ladder. Why? Why do you need a fucking ladder? And then, he was feeding him a cake or something from the goddamn trash. Why? And then a chain shot while the trash can was on Juice. And then he hit the trash can with the chair a few times. And then the chain on the neck. And then Tony Storm runs in. Okay, Tony Storm in the New Japan ring. That's cool. And, excuse me. And then the crowd was firing up. She tried to hit a low blow. Rosser had a cup. Pulled it out. That was his mistake. He kissed her. But, Rosser is actually gay, so he had to act all disgusted. Then a low blow. And Storm 0 for 2. And then this got messy as fuck. And then we got an attempt, I guess, to do the a spear through the door. But that was botched. And then a hip attack and stop sign. And then the sit-out DDT or whatever the hell it is. 1, 2, 3. 26 to 30 minutes on a pay-per-view broadcast for something that had no business going more than 14. I wrote down, somebody watched a whole bunch of ECW tapes. I'm sorry, by the way, if I'm coughing a little bit. I've had bad allergies with the weather change here, so sorry. Applause for Rosser. Look, I mean, there was effort at times. This was overly long. It was overly gimmicky. Tony coming in was cool. Maybe they'll address the fact that Tony and Juice are together, and they'll address that on AEW programming. Get Tony fuck away from the Outcasts. It shouldn't be happening. But there we go. The ring crew cleans this up, and then the crowd, tries to keep themselves energized because it's still got quite a bit of show left. Ozzy opens. Kyle Fletcher shows up in a suit and basically says Mark Davis is injured, and we have to relinquish both tag titles. Bishamon better beat House of Torture, because if they make House of Torture the IWGP and New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions, you might as well just throw those titles in the trash, because nobody in House of Torture is worthy of championships. Why is House of Torture still a thing? Nobody likes House of Torture. If you think you do, fine, but I don't get it. And I hope Mark Davis recovers quickly. So, Kenta's boss battle theme is tremendous. Kenta versus Hikuleo. Hikuleo had recently beaten Kenta for the Strong Openweight Championship. We get a ref bump 2 minutes in, and then they battle to the back, into the crowd. They tease a table bump, and then Hikuleo gets dumped over after the ref gets knocked down the steps. And then Hikuleo gets knocked over the rail into the table on the floor, and then Kenta wins via countout. This is bad. This is really bad. Kenta winning the title back isn't the problem. I mean, I understand protecting Hikuleo, but this is just... You make your referee seem ineffective, and we already just saw a freaking street fight with trash all over everything, cake being fed out of the trash, and more bad shit in an overly long match that shouldn't have been that long, and you had this. And it just blended together. Eddie Kingston also saying in a video, he's challenging Kenta. Okay, that ought to be kind of cool. And then things pick up, as we say. Big announcement, New Japan Strong is heading to Japan on July 4th and 5th. I guess it's kind of fitting. I don't think they celebrate 4th of July in Japan. Don't know why they would. So Moxley makes his entrance to a pop. The crowd was really into it. And Rocky had a couple of beauties in the video package. Who were they? My goodness. Ishii and Okada get pops. And it's Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Rocky Romero, Jon Moxley, and Shota Umino. Along with Wheeler Yuta. Oh, there you are, Yuta. In a 6-man tag that was pretty good. Pretty good overall. I mean... I felt it's like a lot of New Japan multi-man matches, like, when it gets to like the upper crust of the show, where there are moments where it's like, okay, this is really good, and a lot of it's cooking, and it just seems like they drag it on for a bit. This was good. Do not misunderstand. The crowd was really, really into the fact that Okada was treating Shota like a young boy, throwing a beer on him at one point. Boy, I hope that fan was a plant. And Mox in the New Japan ring, the crowd was into it. They were into, pretty much everything. Even Wheeler and Rocky, and that's mainly just, and that's not even a knock on them, but Wheeler, the way he's been presented on AEW programming, and Rocky's been mostly in Mexico working for CMLL, I believe. And back to Shota and Okada. I did like commentary mentioning, only Ishii's neck may be able to stand this. And I said, what neck? And I'm not knocking. He doesn't have a neck. That's why he's able to continue to dominate, because he doesn't have a neck, so he can't feel anything. So anyway, we get a Rainmaker to Mox. We get a Death Rider to Okada, and then a Death Rider to Rocky, 1, 2, 3, while Shota does the Rainmaker deal. or the Okada hand gesture, and that was fine. And then the U.S. title history, we get that. So it is, if they're pushing the Shota and Okada thing, I'm all for it. And if we're going to get Mox in the G1, you know what? After the whole Blackpool Combat Club Elite thing, why not have it? He's going to be on the Dominion card. And honest to God, I don't think him being in the G1 would be the worst thing in the world. It would make fans miss him because he'd go away for a bit. Anyway, Ospreay took on Tanahashi. The crowd was really loud. They were making the floor shake. You could feel them making the bleachers shake. And there were bleachers all around four sides of the ring area. Not like Korakuen Hall. These bleachers are old. I think this venue actually was only built in like the early 90s, and it seems like it was built in the 50s. Ospreay took over for a while. Tana, it's time. It's time for Tana. It's time at the end of next Wrestle Kingdom. If he doesn't retire, he can't be in the G1. He can't be in high-profile matches. I'm sorry. He can't even run the length of the ring anymore. He doesn't need to do this anymore. And Tana fires back. Ospreay favors his knee. A cloverleaf. There was no doubt Ospreay was going to win this, though. Eventually, he counters a high-fly flow. He does hit the hidden blade. Hits a Stormbreaker. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. And there was no doubt Ospreay was going to win this. Now, Ospreay's probably going to beat Archer. If it was Tanahashi, I could see Archer beating him, but I think they're going to want to go to have Ospreay and Omega 2, Electric Boogaloo. And then we get Mercedes Moné dressed as Snow White against Willow Nightingale. And the crowd does the finals, by the way. Whoever wins this becomes a strong women's champion. My God, the crowd. My God, they were so amped up before the bell and when the bell rang, before these women even touched. And they had already seen a long show. By this point, we were 4 hours into the show if you count the, or about 4 hours if you count the pre-show matches. And even if you don't count those, because a lot of the crowd actually wasn't there, they still been there for 3 hours. And they were just as amped as if this opened the god, as if this was the only thing on the show they wanted to see. The women were emotional. Power versus speed. That pounce into the ropes. Mercedes bumped her ass off for Willow. And I mean, Mercedes is known for doing that. Split crowd, huge lariat, a big old spine buster, a Boston crab. Mercedes, they said Mercedes, her heels are almost touching the back of her head. I should call this girl than I knew. But anyway, huge delayed suplex, brain buster, whatever the hell you want to say. It was brutal. I'll say this much. It was brutal. Willow got choked on the ropes, stun gun like. Hit a doctor bomb, and Mercedes was KO'd. Mercedes was totally KO'd. Because they had to make it seem like she got her shoulder up. She didn't get her shoulder up. And it was obvious. And the crowd was booing. I'm thinking this match is supposed to go longer than it did. Because they instantly did another Dr. Bomb 1, 2, 3, and Willow won. Now, was Willow supposed to be the first champion? I don't know. I don't have a clue. I hope so. I hope they didn't just suddenly swerve it. But maybe they had to because Mercedes knew that she knew she was fucked. And she was, because they shot away from her. You saw a brief shot of her being hauled away carefully, but quickly by the ring crew. She was not moving. She was doing the hand stuff. She had pins and needles. It was bad. It was bad. I obviously don't hope it. I hope it's nothing too serious, that she's going to be all right, that it's not a concussion. She just had shock waves up and down her body, and then maybe she's going to be all right. Because that'll happen sometimes, but that looked really brutal. And I'm not blaming Willow. It's not her fault. These things happen. It was the landing. It wasn't that Willow didn't protect her. These things happen. Willow's first champion. She was all emotional and everything. And that was good. And it just seemed like the match was supposed to go longer. I'm not against Willow winning. I just hope Mercedes is going to be all right. And hopefully Willow can be a long reigning champion. Hey, they're doing better here with her than... or here, with Willow than they were in AEW recently. Because New Japan might actually care about booking the women properly. That being said, pretty good show overall. This crowd was really, really into it. really into it. When they were into it, they were goddamn electric. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.